सरस्वती नमस्तुभ्यं वरदे कामरूपिणी विद्यारंभं करिष्यामि सिद्धे भवतु मे सदा वसुदेवं सुतं देवं कंसचाणूरमर्दनं देवकी परमानन्दं कृष्णं वन्दे जगद्गुरुं हरि ओम कृष्णं वन्दे जगद्गुरुं yes namaste can someone recollect what is it that we saw last we can form the link and move ahead. Yes, please. Anybody? Please feel free to unmute and begin. Yes, sir. Namaste. Anything that you recollect.
Hari Om Ji.
Namaste, sir. Yes, sir.
Last session, Krishna was providing a brief description of the activity of the field of activity, the knower of the field of activity, and how the body is constituted, how changes are taking place, recognizes the five cycles and eliminate ahankara from this. This is what he talks about.
Okay.
And the knowledge of field of activities is described by various stages in Vedic writing. Desire, dislike, pain, or distortions inside the kshetra. Perpetuation of consciousness is always there.
Yeah.
And the five great elements, ego, sense objects, desire, hatred, happiness, are all considered to be the field of activities and its interactions in the body.
Yes, sir.
The components of the world are earth, fire, water, air, and ether. The five senses required for acquiring knowledge are the five sense organs. Desire, hatred, pleasure, and pain, which are interactions.
Now, in the divisions, just 1 second, sir, Ramesh ji. So, in the divisions, from what I understand, there is the mind, there is ego, there is the Indriyas, there are the Pancha Mahabhutas, and also one more item, isn't it? One more aspect is there.
Not able to recollect, sir.
That is avyak, that light which is not manifest, the unmanifest light, meaning the light of the divine. It is there, but it is not visible to us, in front of us. All right, sir.
And
please continue, sir.
And then Sri Krishna also goes on describing all the qualities that is which should be there: humility, non-violence, tolerance, simplicity, self-control, non-attachment to family. He is basically encouraging Arjuna to keep them all aside and get himself prepared for the war.
Yeah.
And
all right.
You should be away from the general part of people with whom you do not fall in sync. Is basically what I understand.
All right.
And the importance of self-realization is knowledge, and against this or contrary to this is called ignorance.
Yeah. Ji sir. Thank you very much, Ramesh ji. Hari Om. Yes, thank you, sir. So, as we saw yesterday, then Krishna, after describing the Kshetra, then the Kshetrajna, the different fields, what are the Vikara, there is a distortion also. Our world is a beautiful place, no doubt. But along with beauty, what is coexisting? There is ugliness also. There is treachery also. We see so many examples of what we call inhuman, but they are also human beings only, isn't it? People who are doing inhuman acts. So this is a distortion of the high consciousness that is still there, that is also existing. So a sadhak cannot become blind to that. He must be conscious, he must be aware, because unless you are aware, where is the chance for transformation? If you are never aware, you will never transform. So that is one important aspect. In the way of the Kshetrajna, Krishna goes on. He says, yes, there is humility, the person that is sincerity, the person is having this non-attachment, the person is not troubling anybody and is not being troubled by anyone. So this aspect of Swabhava, the person is slowly rising and transforming. Practicing yoga, bhakti is something which is important. Finally, one of the ways to become Kshetrajna, chalo, I don't have too much wisdom. It's all right. You can have humility. You can have surrender. Surrendering with humility towards the divine is the surest, easiest, and the fastest way for receiving wisdom. Same way, can say, I have a lot of ahankar. Again, have surrender to the divine. Can your ahankar be greater than the divine? No, it cannot. So again, Ahankar also will go down. Attachment. I have too much attachment to my family members. I love them. Krishna is saying, don't stop loving the people you care for. Never. Krishna has never asked us to do that. But what happens is, in this attachment, we become vulnerable. In our attachments, in our expectations, we spoil it. It's like the best kheer has been made and somebody has put salt in it. What's the use of it? It's something like that. So we've got the best of life, and yet there is something which is spoiling the beauty of life. And that probably that something is attachment. To find the strength to overcome that also, you can surrender to the divine. One more thing, Krishna says, staying away from crowds. Crowds in the sense crowd mentality, or we can say mob mentality. This person doing something, so I'll start doing that. When I was in college, suddenly that it became very popular. People started wearing very low waist jeans. My friend also started following it. Unfortunately, he had a malfunction. That was the last day he was wearing it. But why did he start wearing? Not because he was conscious, because somebody else, somebody else is doing that. So many things happen in life which we are allowing the consciousness of somebody else to impinge on us. And that is something which should not happen. That is why. So yogis understand that my consciousness, I want to keep it with myself. I don't want to scatter the consciousness that I have gathered. Children play and gather their marbles when they're playing the kanche. No? I think nowadays it's not so common, at least when I was young. Each one would carry with them. This is my earning. But what happens is if it is not caught, it is not held properly, it falls and then it spreads everywhere. It's something like that. Our consciousness also has to be gathered. So Krishna says all these shlokas, if you look at the shlokas number 7 to 11 of this Adhyaya 13, they're all the ways of the Kshetrajna. Meaning, if you start imbibing this, you will become the Kshetrajna. So what is the Kshetra, if anybody can tell me? What is Kshetra? Kshetrajna is the one who knows Kshetra. But what is the Kshetra? We had seen that also. So anybody in a word, so we can move on. What can the Kshetra be? Krishna says you will become the Kshetrajna. So which field is he talking about?
The life, the body.
Our body.
Our body. Chandresh ji has said body. Aditi ji also has said body. And is it limited to the body only or beyond the body also? Krishna says, Sarva Kshetreshu Bharata, I am that one Kshetrajna. Meaning, even the disciplines, the different fields, they are also coming into the Kshetra only, isn't it? It
Yes.
starts with the body. It starts with body consciousness. Yes, we have to be conscious of that. But then it's spreading everywhere. And that is why one knowledge is there, which is all omniscient. That knowledge of the divine. The divine is omniscient and he is present everywhere. So if you connect to the sutra, you can connect to the highest knowledge also, whichever kshetra you are in. That is something which people see in different fields also. As people go deeper and deeper in specialization, they suddenly find oneness. Oneness means what is biology got to do with art? Ask the very senior artist or ask the senior biologist, and they'll say, no, biology is art. Or they say, art also, I can see oneness there. Both are able to identify it. So it's something like that. We'll have to reach the highest wisdom. And what is the highest wisdom according to the Upanishads? The highest wisdom is the wisdom of the Brahman. And when one realizes that, that person is liberated. That person is free. His life becomes transformed from an ordinary life, which is a life of suffering, say, pain of this cycle of happiness and pain, transformed from that into what Sri Aurobindo calls a life divine. A divine life is possible. And I think that is the basic thing we should all live, isn't it? We all deserve to live a life which is free, a life that is blissful, a life where we are not going to unnecessarily suffer, where we are not going to cause others to suffer also. Because that is, in essence, the real meaning of life. Probably that can be understood better when our consciousness rises. And these are the ways. Krishna goes on. He says, I will now part to you the Brahma Vidya. Interestingly, in 13th Adhyay, he is parting the Brahma Vidya like this. Let us go on. Nyayam yattat pravakshyami yajnatva amrutam ashnute anadi mat param brahma nasattan nasaduchyate. Krishna says, I now reveal the wisdom wherein the golden truth is contained. knowing which the immortal consciousness can be gained. That knowledge of the eternal Brahman Supreme beyond existence and non existence's limit one can deem. He says, I will reveal that wisdom to you. I will reveal that golden wisdom where this highest consciousness can be gained. That knowledge of the Brahman, the Brahma Vidya, the Supreme One, which is beyond existence and non-existence. Means what is the limits? I think in mathematics we've used this limits, isn't it, for calculations? Minus infinity to plus infinity integration. So there is one limit on one side, the other side is another limit, but this Brahman is beyond the limits also. You'll study the Isha Upanishad, you will see it is beyond the limits of Vidya and Avidya also. So beyond that is this knowledge, and he says, I will give it to you. He goes on further, he says, Sarvataha Panipadam Tat Sarvato Kshishiro Mukham Sarvataha Shruti Malloke Sarvamavritya Tishtati. His hands and feet spread in all directions. Everywhere we see only his eyes and faces reflections. The whole universe by his divinity. He does engulf and pervade all life forms are but dwellers in his shelter and shade. Krishna says this. His eyes, his hands and feet are spreading in all directions. Everywhere are his eyes and faces reflection. The whole universe by his divinity he is pervading, and all life forms are dwelling in his shelter, in his chaya, in his consciousness only. Krishna is saying this. So, have we heard something similar in the Gita before? Yes.
In Vishwarup,
Vishwarup, yep.
Yeah. Yes, Manisha ji and Chaitanya ji has said Vishwarupa. I request all participants, I think we are entering into Kingdom of Brahma Vidya. Before we take flight, like flight attendant, यात्रीजन कृपया ध्यान दीजिए. I'll not say seatbelts, but I'll say please turn on video feeds because it's easier for me to interact. If I see only alphabets, it's a little difficult. Thank you for that support. So yes, Vishwarupa Darshana, this realization of Vishwarupa which Arjuna saw, it is something very similar. Sahasra Shirsha Purusha Sahastraksha Sahasrapat. The Purusha Sukta begins like this. This is the Supreme Purusha. He's got so many heads, so many hands, all directions. His feet are there, his eyes are there. We see something very similar. Krishna is describing that. He goes on further. He says, Sarvendriya Gunabhasam Sarvendriya Vivarjitam Asaktam Sarvabhrutchaiva Nirgunam Gunabhoktrucha. He's speaking about something called the gunas. What are the gunas? We will see later in the Gita. But as of now, we see in all qualities and splendor, in all qualities and senses, his splendor is there. But none of the sense impulses does he himself bear. Detached from all, he nourishes all creations. He enjoys the senses, but they are not his limitations. In all qualities, in all the senses, his splendor is there, the glory of the divine. I think when we were in school, we had a poem, in all things bright and beautiful, all creatures great and small, in all things wise and wonderful. This is the divine's manifestation you can see. Well, something similar, Krishna is saying, all of these, you can see that divine. But none of the sense impulses does he himself bear. Meaning he is there, but can we say Brahman got anxious? Brahman got frustrated. Brahman is beyond all of these lower impulses which are there inside of us. Anger, fear, hatred, worry, all of these are unnecessary distortions. But the Brahman is beyond all of it, but he's present. Means Jagadapi Brahma Satyam Namithya. In this world, Anandamayam Jagadidam Sarvam Parabrahmanam Avartitam Maya api Parabrahma Prasantasya Santa Rupinam, meaning Maya is present. In the Maya also the Brahman is present. Because Maya also has originated from the Brahman. But he's not on the surface, not on the top. That is one thing we can see. Detached from all. He's enjoying the senses. but he is not limited by the senses. He is beyond the limits of the senses also. He goes on further. He says, Bahirantascha bhutanam acharam charameva cha sukshvatvat tadavignyayam durastham shantike cha tat. Some more properties. He says, present inside and outside, all living ones, both mobile and immobile, together at once. He is unimaginable, infinitesimally subtler than the subtlest, beyond understanding. He is nearest and also farthest. ये थोड़ा गड़बड़ हो गया लॉजिक का. What is Krishna saying? He's saying he's inside and also outside. He's mobile and also immobile. He's unimaginable. He's subtler than the subtlest. He is beyond our understanding. He's near also and also far. My question is, what is Krishna doing? He's using that common strategy. If you can't convince, confuse. But abhi to Arjun track pe aaya hai. There's no need, no? What is he doing? Anybody? Why is he telling this? Means, you know what is near, you know what is far. How can something be near and far? You know what is inside? No, it's outside. It is inside also. It's outside also. He said it's beyond understanding. Then why is he trying to make Arjuna understand? What is the logic here? Anybody? What could be the reason here? This is the same. If you identify the logic here, the tarka, we would say, why this is being used, you will identify the essence of the Upanishads also. Because in the Upanishads also, we have similar themes. Tad dure, tad vantike, tad antarascha, tad bahyascha, sarvasyascha, khalu. Brahman is like that in the Mandukya Upanishad. Also, we see the same thing. He's near, he's far. Tad dure, tad vantike. Antara, yes, Chaitanya ji. Yes, sir.
Probably what he's trying to say is, yeah, he is omnipresent, but
Hmm.
the way I mean, his existence cannot be simply logically understood by mind. So that way he's trying to say that you recognize the existence, acknowledge the existence, but you may not be able to completely understand how come even from the smallest to smallest to the biggest thing he is still present and he's still functioning in everything. So probably he's just trying to say that acknowledge it is there. You may not be able to completely understand how it is working or how it is possible, but yeah, he is omnipresent.
So you mean to say just by trying at least one thing, he's saying it's beyond logic, but he's giving us a logic, isn't it? He is giving a logic of near and far also, and he's saying this is about beyond it. So what does this do? Does you think it will like help a person stretch a person's mind if you try to visualize near also, far also at the same time?
I mean, if he's trying to see the divinity everywhere, probably that will help him because
Mm.
otherwise, I mean, because of limitation of mind, we tend not to think that way. So he's
Yeah,
probably trying to make him think that way. That you start thinking in this direction, eventually you may understand things, but it is a fact. May not be the obvious one, but it is.
absolutely. Yeah, perfectly said, Ajay. This is actually the essence in the Upanishads also. If you see, there are different types of Upanishads. They are we can say they go in the form of a story, as you have Kathopanishad. Then there is the Mandakya Upanishad, is mystic. It's just selected few verses. It's all about the exposition of what is Om. Om is said to be Trikalatita, that is beyond times. Then there are three aspects of Om, Ma. There is one is called what is the Sukshma, one is there in Jagruti Sthiti, one is the one more Sthiti, Sushupti, and then the third, and then there's a fourth dimension which is being introduced afterward. So every Upanishad has a way of dealing, depending. Like Brihadaranyaka Upanishad is very different. Taittiriya Upanishad even has different valleys where even creation of Srishti is described. Kena Upanishad begins with another set of questions. Who is it that brought about the fall? Why is it that consciousness suddenly fell and came into the Srishti? What happened? Where is that origin? So each of these Upanishads are all like you can say we have swords, we have arrows, we have we can say missile launchers also in today's time. What are all of these? These are all different ways of attacking, and all these Upanishads are trying to attack and understand and receive the realization of Brahman. All are moving in different ways. But there is one price that has to be paid for receiving the Brahma Vidya. That price is the surrender of your logic. So you have to surrender your logic. And that is why first you have to become conscious that my logic is limited. And that is what the Upanishad seeks to do. It's like a student going to a gym khana, and the teacher says, Chalo, start doing the stretching. The student is not able to touch the toes. What will you do if you cannot touch the toes? Slowly, slowly, the teacher teaches the student to go beyond his limits. And that is exactly what the Upanishads also do. You see, our mind is chanchal, our mind is limited. And we cannot, sometimes people say, my mind is so beautiful, it is so vast, it's so powerful, I can do everything in the world. With my mind, I can imagine the universe. How can we imagine the entire universe with our mind when it's still limited? There's a cosmic consciousness, you can connect it, mind can become a receiver. Mind can become a receiver and you can receive. Sometimes the greatest creations. Look at this Gita, look at the Upanishads, look at all of these are something, they are eternal. So some things are created by human beings using mind, meaning mind is not to be discarded. Mind is definitely an important medium, an important instrument, but recognize the limitation, and that is why they use the mind's limits only. See, understand what is far. He says, look at the horizon. So immediately look at the horizon. Suddenly look under your nose. So it's like an exercise. This is far also, inside also. Means the uncertainty of something is also important. In like neti, not this, not this, not this. Neti, neti, like that they keep saying, and then finally reach Brahman. That is one more type of, we can say in Shastras, what we call what we draw inferences. Anupalabdhi means one is Anumana, Tarka different ways. One is Pratyaksha, I saw God, I experienced Him. Then Anumana is I drew inference. Are? Like my mother says God is there. My mother does not lie to me. That means God must be there is enough for me because my mother has told me and I know she will not lie to me. She is not saying false. But then somebody will say, no, I don't know. My mother can lie to me also. I don't want to hear from my mother's experience. So let me see another way. I don't want Anuman. Then that person may say Anupalabdhi. Means not this. Okay, this is not. This cannot be possible. There must be something. There must be something. So like that, different ways. These shastras are also using that. But my question is, can uncertainty help us? Yes, Chaitanya wants to add something. Yes, sir.
I mean, I was just saying it was kind of method of elimination we use sometimes just to, because we are not
Yeah.
able to directly arrive at the answer. So we just eliminate other
Yeah.
things.
Yes, yes. But like I said, mother saying, sometimes mother saying itself is sufficient without
Yeah.
requiring Anuman for us. We don't need to draw, we don't need to do one A is equal to B, B is equal to C, so A equal to C. Instead of that, mother says, mother's words become Shabda Pramana. Guru's words, it's like it is said. Dhyana Moolam Guru Murtim, Puja Moolam Gurur Padam, Mantra Moolam Gurur Vakyam, Moksha Moola Guru Krupa. So that becomes Shabda Pramana. Like Gita is called Shabda Pramana, but it is up to the individual, isn't it? Somebody says, I don't recognize. Say, Prime Minister of a country, he's been elected. Somebody says, I don't recognize the Prime Minister. Does that mean that Prime Minister ceases to remain Prime Minister? No, he'll remain. But this person will not be able to perceive. That is a limitation in the individual, not in the supreme post. It is something like that. Brahman, different ways they are handled. But uncertainty also is something very important. Anybody has heard of something called a principle of uncertainty in physics? Uncertainty principle said to be attributed to that scientist Heisenberg, and it's something very important. Hannes, has anybody heard of it? Anything about it? Is it useful or it's just philosophical talk which has no practical meaning? Or it's a very practical principle? Anybody?
Yeah, it's
Yeah, that's
it's you can
yes.
have a position but not velocity. You get the velocity, you will not.
Ah, yes, yes. It's actually very logical also. It's like, you see, this subatomic level, what happens? You can identify either the position or the velocity. You cannot be certain about both. Because by the time you catch, you say he's here. He's not here, he's there. The moment has already taken place. Now, this uncertainty principle has a lot of practical applications, and that uncertainty principle has its own value, something like that. Let's understand and recognize this uncertainty of the exactness of Brahman according to the mental logic that will have its own benefits as we move ahead. We will probably be able to see what are newer horizons, newer dimensions of experience or understanding. I had started writing about after, what we say, you get a little bit information and then you become very excited and you start writing. So I thought, Sri Aurobindo has described levels of consciousness which are beyond the mind. Now I'll write them down. So I started, what is higher mind? I gave attributes for all of it. What is mind? What is higher mind? What is illumined mind? What is overmind? What is supermind? It went on nice 80 pages. And then I thought best thing now is to press delete button. Because I was again making it like this is one level, as if we have the habit of classifying things, isn't it? This is like this is like that. And suddenly, array, this is the spectrum. It's not something which is like level one is separate, level two is separate, level three is like this. Sometimes there is a movement from one place to direct another place also. So then I felt, chalo, theek hai, this is wrong. But the entire aspect of understanding is, chalo, there is something. That much you understand also is sufficient. There is something higher than my consciousness. There is something higher than my own individual mental aspects. Dr. Suraji wants to add something. Yes, sir.
Yeah, so uh, only when we understand that we do not know something, we get
Ah,
to know
that's also
point
beautifully
of
said.
the point of that we know something, we always ignore the new possibilities of the
Ah,
aspect of this is applicable
beautifully said.
in
Ji,
any
sir.
field, any field.
Any field, isn't it? Absolutely. And Kena Upanishad talks about the same thing. Suresh, wants to say something. Yes, sir. Please unmute, sir. I can't hear you, sir. Please unmute, sir.
Power of imagination,
Yes, power of imagination, but
visualization.
we
It leads
visualize
to
things.
creative thinking.
It leads to creative thinking when you start recognizing, chalo, theek hai, there is something. I want to receive
Yeah.
something which is higher. Most of the artists, they say, I didn't think of this. It came to me. The creations are done not because I imagined it using my own rules and my own limitations or from my experience. Many artists or some of the greatest composers say, I don't know who composed through me. They're not trying to hide their secret of their trade. They're not saying that for that reason. Because they're really not conscious. They say, "Arey, this is not my style of composition, but suddenly it happened. I got the flow and I went with the flow. It happened through me." This is the akartara bhava, no? In the Gita also. I am not the doer. Naham karta, hari hi karta. What is the meaning of it? A higher consciousness functioned through me. That is something. A creative consciousness manifested through me. That is the attitude. So let us continue. As Krishna says, we saw about this Brahman now. The reintroduction of Brahman is done. And truly speaking, after this, if you go and pick up some Upanishad, you will find a lot of similarities, whichever Upanishad you want. Study the Gita and then enter into the Upanishad, you have got your, what we can say, entry. Otherwise, you pick up the Upanishad, it becomes difficult. You see, what is Brahman? Array, what is this? Brahman, he is Om. Entire Om description is described in Mandukya Upanishad. What is Om? Om is only all. Om is inside. Om is outside. Array, what is nonsense going on? I'm not able to understand. But when you see a little deeper, you'll see, oh, right. A quantum physicist, a physicist, theoretical physicist, had a great conversation. I was very happy to be part of that meeting. That person was talking about this quantum levels, and she was connecting it with the Upanishad of Mandukya. I was so surprised. Now people say you should not make equation. That is also a negation. Why should you not? Somebody who is thinking in a particular way, try to understand according to that way. And that person gave such beautiful understanding. I was really awestruck by what an approach, what an interesting approach, a different one. So something like that, if you at all you have studied the Upanishads and you have felt it's gone a little over the head, read the Gita and then touch the Upanishad. Upanishads will appear closer to you. That is why Bhagavad Gita is also called an Upanishad. Was everybody aware of this? Bhagavad Gita is an Upanishad in itself called Gita Upanishad. And it said Sarvo Upanishado Gavo Dogdha Gopala Nandana. All the Upanishads are like cows. And who is the milker? It is Sri Krishna. And who is the drinker of that milk? It is our Partha, Arjuna. And what is that milk? The Brahma Vidya? Well, that is the Gitamrita. So let us see. In Kathopanishad, when our group which had studied the Gita and then they remained in touch, they wanted to study Upanishad after the Gita, and we would meet once a week. And we read the Kathopanishad, which is actually the Upanishad on death, Yama, and this dialogue between Nachiketas and Yama. At the end, they said, "Oh, this is not anything new. तो क्या हो गया? इसमें तो picture पहले ही खत्म हो गया before it's over because we thought we will receive something newer, but it's all there in the Upanishad." And then one person said, "Now if I see Yama, I will not be worried. I'll say, Yama, show me Krishna Roop. I don't need to be afraid of your this big your Vahan is like this, you look like this." And I'll say, "No, you are Krishna only. You are the same." I think we saw that in Vibhuti Darshana also, isn't it? I am Yama. Krishna said that. So let us come back into the Adhyay. So Krishna says, this is it. Near also, far also, subtle also, Sukshma also, but in the Sthula also. Like Tukaram, Anu Reniya Thokada Tuka Akasha Yoda. Smaller than the Anu, smaller than the Renu, Tuka is wider than the sky. Tuka is not referring to his own physical self and calling himself the Supreme. He is saying the consciousness that is functioning. He is referring to that Supreme Consciousness, subtler than the subtlest and yet widest. He goes on further. Avibhaktam cha bhuteshu vibhaktam iva cha sthiram sastitam bhuta bhartru chatadnyayam grasishnu prabha vishnu cha. He is the immutable and indivisible oneness, and yet his creatures appear as life forms of distinctness. All the beings from him only emerge, and back to his eternity, all of them return to converge. Krishna says, see, all have come, all have originated from what? From that one consciousness. Eko ham bahusyami was the Pratham Mahavakya. And then the splitting of consciousness took place. Where did it originate from? It originated from the same place only. And yet, look at it. Just if you see all of us also, each of us is wearing a different robe. We are wearing different clothes, different colors. We have different, what we can say, we are living different lives, different life experiences at different stages of life. Each of us are having different experiences. We will feel like we're not one at all. I am different. I am not like the other person. I am different, absolutely. But we are also one, isn't it? On the inside. I think all of us have blood flowing in our veins. All of us have aspirations. All of us have, the same principles inside of us. Our heart is also the same, isn't it? Or the heart changes as with the color. Everybody's one person has goat's heart, another has buffalo's heart. Or no, it's not like that. We're all having the same heart. All human beings, we are one. So, despite being one, we are also different. This is the differentiation of consciousness which has come from the one place. And Krishna says all have originated from this place and all will go. So we don't have to think about eternal condemnation or eternal damnation. Back to that oneness only, everybody is going to evolve. Krishna goes on. He says, Jyotisham api tad jyotihi tamasaha paramuchyate jnanam jneyam jnanagamyam hridi sarvasya vishtitam. Where is this divine? Krishna is giving exact location. This divine is located where? Address, house number, plot number, exact location Krishna has told here. The light that illumines light is He, beyond all forms of darkness that can be. He is the knowledge, He is the wisdom, and in the hearts of all presides His kingdom. Rudi San, this is in the Rudi, is what Krishna. Rudi Sarvasya Vishtitam. This divine is seated. The divine is seated in the heart of every living being. Many times we don't recognize this only, no? भगवान वहां पे है, उसके वहां उस मंदिर में है या नेबर के घर में है, मेरे घर में तो नहीं है. But it's not the case. The divine is present. Go touch your heart, feel the presence of the divine. You know, the heart, physical heart is just a different aspect. There is a heart center of consciousness also. The divine has already whispered to the physical heart how many times it has to beat. Already, it is already decided, it is already known to the divine. And yet this is present. Jnanam, Jneyam, Jnanagamyam. It is knowledge. He is the knowledge, He is the wisdom. Through Him, we are going to realize. Somebody says it's difficult to recognize, it's difficult to understand, but I think this Srishti also is a little difficult to understand, isn't it? in our Srishti. If you see the origin, according to material physics also, we all originated from what? From an accidental explosion of a star. And then there was a sun, sun was formed. So what were we doing before? What was this matter doing before it split from the great star? All was emitting light only, isn't it? Everything was part of a system that was emitting light. And suddenly it separated from becoming emitting light only. One portion remained there, and that was continuing to emit light. And remaining system is receiving the light. Today we say, I don't like the sun. My friend went to UK and was feeling very depressed. Why? Because I didn't see the sun. I could not see the sun, and sun is so required for our growth. So our growth, plants cannot grow without sunlight. So what is it? We are now receiving light for our growth. Who is receiving light? The source that was emitting light is only now receiving light in a different transformed matter, isn't it? We were once upon a time part of this universe which was emitting light. Now we are a part of the universe. We are receiving the light and we are trying to receive and connect to that source. Plants can properly, they grow towards light, isn't it? Most of them that have that positive growth towards light, they go that way. Why is it? Again, the same thing. Means why should we do yoga? Because there was Viyog. Because there's separation. I've got separated from that consciousness. I've got separated from the divine consciousness to the point that I question the divinity in me only. I say I'm not divine. I am like this. Why is this saying also happening? Because I'm not able to accept it. I'm not understanding. Subconsciously, I realize somewhere that I am connected with a higher consciousness, but I'm not able to see that higher consciousness here. That aspiration is there. And Krishna says, see, this is the light. This is the truth. Jyotisham api tat jyoti. Gayatri mantra is what? It is about that Surya. Is it the physical Surya? Or is it that light which is empowering the physical Surya? It is about that, the yonder sun. It is believed the sun, there is a sun that powers the sun. We will not call it sun in the science terms, but it was something else. It is a jyoti, it is a light which has brought it about. Krishna says, this is the summary. He tells him, Iti Kshetram Tatha Jnanam Nyayam Choktam Samasataha Mad Bhaktaha Etad Vijnaya Mad Bhava Yopapadyate. Thus the realm of the field I have surmised and shown, and also what is knowledge and what is to be known. When my devotees can know this and realize, then into their natures, my divinity, they materialize. This is why we should know it. Because there's a avyakta, isn't it? We were told in the field there is a light which is not manifest. That light has to manifest. We need to become conscious. Why should we become conscious? Not for ourselves also, for everybody connected with us. One person's light becomes a source of light for so many, like one candle lighting so many other candles. That will bring about a conscious transformation. He says, I have told you about the field and I have summarized. And what is that knowledge that you must realize? But he says, when my bhaktas, when my devotees can realize this, when they can know this, then into their natures, my divinity, they materialize. They are able to manifest divinity in nature. This is a very practical aspect. When you manifest divinity in nature, there is transformation. Even material transformation is possible when light manifests of one light of the divine. So, who is a bhakta? If we want to look at it, bhakta is one who is connected with the light, isn't it? The one who does not have vibhakti. Vibhakti in Sanskrit means separation. So the one who is not separated from the divine is only bhakta. So there are only bhaktas and then there are vibhaktas, isn't it? So how do you understand? How do I cultivate bhakti? You don't have to cultivate bhakti when you realize it. Many people say, how do I do meditation? Meditation is not happening. I'm not able to do meditation. Are you going to do with your mental logic? Ki chalo, I'm activating chakra number 7, next chakra 6, RPM, I'm trying to improve RPM of this chakra. What is all of this? It's not how you're going to do it. It's not something like that. When I told my Guruji, that was nearly 13 years ago, I cannot meditate. He said, बैठो एक जगह पे, कम से कम एक्टिंग करो. I was surprised. Why did he say that? Should I act like I'm meditating? But now Guru has said, so chalo, let's act. How do I act like I'm meditating? Let's pretend we are calm and peaceful. Let's not open our eyes. Let's not glance here or there for some time at least. Let's not imagine there is a caterpillar on my forehead or on my nose that I have to go and scratch my head. That's how it started off. And without realizing, I don't know when acting actually became real as we went inside of it. It is something like that. It is so simple as that. Realization will come when it has to come, but the journey must begin. And who will start the journey? Nobody else except ourselves. Krishna says, when you do this, though, life will become different. Many people have got this experience. People say, after Gita entered into my life, Ananda has entered into my life. How? What? That person only can understand. Nobody else will understand. One mother, I keep referring to her often in the class. She keeps fighting with her mother, though her daughter is also going to become a mother now. But that fights don't stop. But she says, my mother means her the grandmother actually the supreme one. She came and asked her, "What are you getting with reading the Gita? Is Krishna giving something? Why are you sitting every day and reading the Gita?" Now she is a widow. And for her, she's deriving some Ananda reading the Gita. Her mother is not able to understand where Ananda is coming. But she says, you don't tell me. I am happy. I'll do what I want to do. But what Ananda she is getting, she says, now my children are, earlier I was so anxious, they used to complain. Now both children left me, they are abroad. And I say, I'm busy. They say, why are you busy? You are supposed to be simply sitting in the house. No, she says, I have enough duties of my entire day. I'm conscious and I'm doing all of it. Every moment is now active. And she said, I'm learning new things. Who will start learning new things after retirement? People say, no, ab to ho gaya. Why should I learn something new? But that's not the case when somebody is conscious. So light has to come. Light has to come. And age is just a factor, isn't it? Age is an outer factor. Age is just an outer factor. The heart is something, the spirit inside. I have seen 80 and 90-year-old people who are having such interest in learning the newer technologies, trying to understand. I want to understand your new generation. That's why I'm using this technology. Why is that? Well, they have the experience also, and yet they want to understand this aspect also. And they are always surrounded by youngsters only, because that is how the consciousness is. It's always, they say there's no age. And I have seen 20-year-old or 30-year-old who are like 90s. Case in point, my own friend, he says, another 10 years, I am going to retire. Enough. I've already become old. The way he walks also. He said, let's go to the beach. We went for a walk and he started panting. He said, so many days I have not walked. I think I need to sit down. I'm like, wow. This is the age for you to run, and you are now finding difficulty to walk because you don't feel like doing it. It is nothing to do with physical difficulty. It is that person's nature. He has closed it. So this aspect we must understand. Krishna says, manifest this avyakta. The light is there for everybody. It is there to recognize. You recognize it when you are connected with the divine, and it happens naturally. It happens naturally. You don't have to even consciously interfere. Whoever has to interfere, it is divine's work, divine's headache also. Interfering and changing. Yada yada hi dharmasya. Who has given the promise? Divine has given the promise. Who should be worried about keeping the promise? The person who has heard the promise or the person who has given the promise? The person was given the promise. So we don't have to worry. Yeah, you keep your promise. It's your job. It's not mine. Mine is to do my karma quietly. It is as simple as that. So with this, Krishna enters into now the next part, which is interesting about the duality of the Purusha and Prakruti, the creative spirit and the manifesting executive power of the same one divine consciousness. Sometimes people make a bheda. I like Purusha, I don't like Prakruti. It's like I don't like the founder, I like the CEO. Can you say that? Is that you are receiving a app or some device which you have developed? I don't like this or I don't like both are equally important, isn't it? And sometimes it doesn't matter if you do like the CEO or like the founder. You'll use the app, in the kshetra where you want to use it, get its outcome. Why should you have your own personal attachments? But if I were to ask you a question, can you tell me who is important? Is the founder important or the executive officer important? Anybody? Anybody? If one of the two.
Both are important.
Both are important, isn't it? Or anybody else agrees, or anybody feels founder is more important? Yes, anybody agrees with Aditi? Both, isn't it? Absolutely. Absolutely. In Pondicherry, Pondicherry got its name because of Sri Aurobindo and the mother. Some say, I like Sri Aurobindo, but I don't like the mother. Or mother is like this, I don't like Sri. But simply, Sri Aurobindo said, if you are saying Advaita, you have not understood anything. I am incomplete without the other. One is incomplete without the other is unexpressed. The mother's role was setting up the ashram to set up principles of Sri Aurobindo and show the world how these principles can be set up. The executive aspect is the creation of Auroville. All these ideals, which were so, even now people feel they are still ideals, they are not yet fully manifest. But to bring into material, to bring a concept of Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam, to even think of it when the world is not ready for the highest ideal, it was impossible. Each had a role, each had a purpose, each had a way. Sri Aurobindo's correspondence sometimes was marred with a lot of humor also, which some of the Shishyas got the chance of experiencing. But some others, mothers was different. Some would said he was the gentleman. She said, I'm not following that same principle. But they are ultimately following the same. And one cannot separate what is the creative spirit or the executive spirit. You cannot same way separate Purusha from Prakruti. Both are working in tandem. Shiva and Shakti, who is more powerful? Both are more powerful than the person asking the question, definitely. One is incomplete without the other is inexpressed without the other. Shiva in his trance will remain in his trance and no Srishti's creation will take place. So Shakti has to bring about Srishti's creation. And then Shakti has to do sometimes people say the difficult work is for Shakti only, to bring about in our consciousness the awakening. How is it possible? Well, let us see that game of Purusha and Prakriti at play. Here we see it beginning. Krishna says, Prakritim Purusham Chaiva Vidyanadi Ubhavapi Vikaranshcha Gunanshchaiva Vidhi Prakriti Sambhavan. Prakriti is the counterpart. Counterpart of whom? Counterpart of the one being supernal. Like him, she too is immaculate and eternal. Within her only originate all of nature's qualities. But also arising from her are the many deformities. So this Prakriti has taken that role. While creating of the Srishti, the Vikara also are part of Prakriti only. Purusha is there in his masti, in his ananda. Everything is ananda there. But in Prakriti, there is this permutation and combination of consciousness from the most inconscient to the supraconscient, from fully aware to semi-aware to unaware. All types of existences are there in this Prakriti. But she is also like him. She is also part of that supreme consciousness, and so she is also eternal, like the divine. कार्य कारण कर्तृत्वे हेतुः प्रकृतिरुच्यते पुरुषः सुख दुःखानां भोक्तृत्वे हेतुरुच्यते. The domino of cause and effect is her procreation. Cause and effect. Karya and why is it happened? Karana. That is just creation. That domino also is of the Prakriti only. The experiences of individual consciousness, her creation. This feeling, I am different. How many of us have felt I am different? I think everybody has felt that I am different. मैं तो अलग हूँ. I'm different. Difference means what? A trait which is not similar, isn't it? But when everybody is feeling they are different, that becomes a similarity only. Everybody is feeling that because of this that bhava of ahankar. That ahankar also has originated from Prakriti. That's what Krishna is saying. And he says, what does the Purusha do? And the one supreme being, the Purusha, does but enjoy, experiencing both pleasure and pain with joy. Purusha is like the lion, sitting in the jungle, relaxing, yawning, while the lioness is going hunting. That's what Purusha is doing. Everything is Ananda. Lioness will bring the food, lioness will take care of the cubs. He's going to intervene when required. Or sometimes some couples are very nice. They have a very good relationship with each other. They don't have any fights at all. And then one interview was taken for a couple, and they said, what is the success? So the husband said, yes, my wife takes care of all the decisions of my child, whatever we need for the house, whatever needs to be done, anything financial aspects also are looked after her by her. And I don't have any problem. And I said, oh, that's good. That's very nice. So what do you do? Ah, no, no, I decide on the international aspects, whether this country should be invading into another country or this should be done, or whether there should be world peace. So it is something like that. Purusha is nice, detached. He is in that layer of Ananda only. Here we are experiencing sorrow. Today's sorrow is not affecting the Purusha. But Prakriti Ma is closer. Like they say, Ma Saraswati is closest to the human sphere. Why? She has to work with our incomplete, imperfect consciousness and then manifest it. She has to raise our consciousness. She has to work with, which is not a perfect raw material, has to be transformed into something which is beautiful and finished product. That this Prakriti has to do. Purusha is going to say, yes, yes, let's improve production little bit more. It has to increase in the industry. I have this target. That's all. But Prakriti has to bring it to manifestation. That is something which we see here. He goes on. Krishna says, Purushaha prakritis tatha hi bhunkte prakritirjan gunan karanam gunasangosya sadasad yoni janmasu. So Krishna says, immersed in her qualities, he presides. So he also accepts the rules set forth by Prakriti. He is going to function along according to the executive spirit of consciousness that is mentioned. He'll not break that. Founder entering into the company and still working on the same road which has been set for everybody else. Why? Because I want to lead by example and I don't want to break the system. The system has been created for a purpose which is also my purpose. So I will accept it. So the founder, though he is supreme, he is also accepting and is immersed. Krishna says, immersed in her quality, he presides. Experiencing her nature, he resides. His attachment to Prakriti is the sole cause of all births in the wombs of sin and good that he draws. So the interaction between the Purusha and Prakriti only, Shiva and Shakti only, that union only brought about the beginning of so many different consciousness. So there is a bandhana, there is a connection between Purusha and Prakriti that we should never forget or never ignore. That is the reason for all the janmas, all the different yonis that are existing. He goes on further. Krishna says, Upadrishtan manta cha bharta bhokta maheshwara paramatmeti chapyukto dehesmin purushah para. Situated within the physical envelope mortal. He is the one supreme indwelling Lord immortal. He is the witness, observer, and giver of consents. Nature's modes he enjoys, upholds, and augments. So he comes, he supports it also. He upholds the three gunas, he upholds the modes of nature. He also enjoys and participates in the functioning of Prakriti. You see, situated within the physical mortal, he is the supreme. This is itself one of the biggest paradoxes of life, isn't it? In the second adhyaya also, Krishna said, Nainam chindati shastrani, nainam dahati pavakaha. That Atman is inside, the Atman which cannot be destroyed, that Atman which cannot be cut, which cannot be dried by the winds, which cannot be wet by water. And where is that Atman? Inside of a finite body which goes through the entire cycles of Janma, Mrityu, Jara, Vyadhi. All these cycles undergoing inside of this. This is the paradox of the universe. But it is there. Krishna says he is the witness, he is the Sakshi, he is the observer. He also gives the thumbs up to Prakriti to bring about the manifestation. He gives his consent, and then only Prakriti moves ahead. Prakriti consults the Purusha and then moves on. He's enjoying it, he's upholding it, he's also augmenting, is what Krishna is saying. And Krishna says recognition of this duality is important. Recognize the oneness in this duality. He says, Ya evam vetti purusham prakritim cha gunaihi sa sarvatha vartamanopi nasa bhuyo bhijayate. He who knows and realizes the duality of the Supreme Purusha and Prakriti's every quality, his way of living or actions notwithstanding, that being certainly finds release from rebirth's bonding. Krishna says mukti is in realization itself. You become free. Eshaha mokshaha. As Sri Aurobindo has said in this Upanishad. This is the moksha, this realization of what? Of the ananda which is present everywhere. The game of Purusha and Prakruti begins, you begin to see what's happening. No more are you disturbed by the outer fluctuations. You have entered into that consciousness. And Krishna says this realization of the game of Purusha and Prakriti itself. Whatever the person may be doing, whichever way that person may be living the life, he will become free by realizing it. My simple question is, how is it that knowing it will make a person free? Or both Purusha Prakriti are happy, so they're going to give increments, moksha for everybody. Because they said I am there, I'm supreme. Is it fulfilling their ahankar, or it is actually when you know something, you start living by that way, isn't it? When you realize something. When I realize that I don't need drugs for happiness, I'll never go on that road, isn't it? I'll say, bye bye, powdery paradise, you are fake. I don't need you. Who will say that? Only someone who's got that realization. And then he will never walk on that path. It is absolutely simple as that. This realization of the Purusha and Prakriti. Will we get upset then if I slip and fall today? No, you will not get upset. There was one Venugopalji. He would call this the game of Krishna, and he had a name for Krishna. He would call him Joker. It was very difficult for me to in the class when he would say that Joker did like this. So I didn't want to make it a habit for others starting to call him call the divine Joker. That will be a big problem, a liability for me. But I didn't have enough authority or anything to tell him, ki, sir, please don't use that word. Because that was his personal relation with the divine. And one day he called me and he said he said, I do not know how long I'm going to live. Unfortunately, he did pass away after some time. But he was so conscious, he one day got hurt very badly. But he was in pain and yet he was laughingly. I remember his audio. He said, today the Joker, actually, I hit the bucket with my leg. And because of the Joker, he has played something and I have I'm having a lot of pain and he's having some game going on. I mean, how can somebody see something like that when in physical pain you are able to find something beyond it? Is because the person has risen. It was beautiful. His last commentary also, which was shared, was something which was very touching. Even now, many times I'll just listen to it and feel so nice listening to it. It was beautiful what he talked about. He says this about the divinity. He's talked about it. He says, all of you, we are all walking on that same path. His heavy metallic voice, it was a very beautiful voice. He was an English teacher. But this connection, he was able to understand, and that was a source of freedom. People going through extreme physical pain also are able to connect with the divine and overcome that pain, see the light, and find laughter in their life also. That Chaitanya, that Ananda has to come in our life. And Krishna says, when you realize the divine and divinity, you experience that Ananda. Little moments become special. Little moments become joyous also. These are indications actually. Is your sadhana going ahead? How am I seeing visions for 24 hours? Am I seeing for 24 minutes? No, it's not important. Your sadhana has gone ahead when there is Chaitanya in your life. Your sadhana has gone ahead when there is Ananda. The moments of Ananda are increasing. They are great indicators that you are reaching closer to Vrindavan, or you're manifesting Vrindavan's consciousness in and around you. Your Krishna's consciousness is functioning everywhere. That is one everywhere. That aspect is realized only as you go ahead. And Krishna says, somebody recognizing the play of the forces of Purusha and Prakriti can become free. He goes on. Yeah,
What,
Aditi ji.
what is
Yes, please.
Prakriti here? Like anything apart from the person?
No, Prakriti is the entire Srishti. You and I are also part of Prakriti. And nowadays we have various. So it's not about Prakriti is called a divine feminine. We will see a little bit more about her. But divine feminine means creation itself is called feminine, and there is one masculine, which is the Purusha. This Purusha people sometimes make it into, in the regional language, Purusha means male, isn't it?
Mm.
So people unnecessarily collate the Purusha, which is the divine, to the male gender. Even the male gender is part of Prakriti and part of the divine feminine only. Why even the new genders which we have cis, trans, bi, whatever new genders have come into existence, they're also part of Prakriti only, which people have understood now. They're becoming so everything in this Srishti is part of Prakriti. Prakriti having gunas, we will be understanding about what are the gunas. There is a mode of operation of Prakruti, and we are all like bacteria in a culture medium, thriving. So we are thriving in the consciousness of Prakruti. But Prakriti is connected with Purusha. That should not be forgotten. Otherwise, people think only here and not they don't connect with the higher consciousness also. Did that answer your question, Aditi ji? Yeah, all right. So let's continue.
So Shruji, just a
Yeah.
question. So we talked about this interaction of Purusha and Prakriti, and I think somewhere you said that this. I think what I understood is that this world or this Srishti is a result of creation or the result of kind of attachment of Purusha with Prakriti.
Yeah.
Is right. So are we in a way saying that this is a so this whole thing has originated from a kind of attachment only?
Means the divine is equally caring. It appears that he is not connected. The Supreme Purusha is not connected. No, he is. And Prakriti and Purusha both wanted to manifest something together. They had this aspiration of now this we are giving them new genders or we are giving a picture according to our imagination. We are trying to grasp it. But it is that one consciousness. Somebody will say, I don't believe in this Purusha Prakriti. It's fine for that person to not believe, but it is that one consciousness. And that consciousness, if we just look at it in terms of forces, the creative force and the executive force came together to bring about the creation. That is the aspect which is poetically said, ki chalo attached, Purusha is attached to Prakriti so only because they care. They care for both.
So two kind of high level manifestations of the same consciousness, they interacting
Yes.
and creating the things.
Interacting and
Yeah,
creating.
and we are
Absolutely.
just saying one of the spirits, as in the creative and
Yeah.
executive spirits, we are giving two different names to them.
Yes, they are giving attributing properties for our
Okay.
mind to
Our mind to
rationalize.
understand or visualize.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes,
Okay.
yes.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ji. Thank you. So, and it is worthy of meditating on this because each person will understand differently based on each person has a knowledge pool, isn't it? A base which we have gathered in our life. So, if we try to understand relating to that knowledge, what we have experienced, we'll be able to beautifully connect. Let us continue. We look at ध्यानेनात्मनि पश्यन्ति केचित् केचित् आत्मनमात्मना अन्ये सांख्येन योगेन कर्मयोगेन चापरे. By delving deep into the inner realms while meditation. So for those who like to get into dhyana, Shivoham, Soham, all these different aspects of dhyana. Swatma Ramoham, Bhuma, Paramasukhi, Svena Swasmin, Swayam Brahma, Swe Mahimni, Swanubhutam. They get the Anubhuti by going deep into meditation. According to the nature of a person, some people easily get into meditation. So that they delve deep on this concept in the meditation. Or by knowing the eternal self by the soul nature separation. So recognizing the Dvaita of this Sharira is different from the supreme consciousness. There is a Jivatman, there is a Paramatman. Let me try to understand through this logic of the Jivatman, Paramatman, consciousness, manifestation. I don't believe in too much of dhyana, but I can understand. Some people have great intellectual faculties also. They use that intellectual faculty to go deeper. So using that, or else by the yoga of dynamic action. Some people say, no, दिमाग का काम मुझे मत देना, मुझे कर्म का काम दो. But actually, karma work is also equally intellectual. People don't realize it. But it is a nature. Some people say, it's okay, don't make me sit for reading this much scriptures. Instead, I'll start doing this much action and I will realize the scriptures through the action. So the karma yogis also. Or by karma, one can gain the indwelling supreme's realization. The sakshatkaraha can be got. This is the highest aspect, and this is the greatest aspect which we must first meditate upon, or we must concentrate upon, or we must acknowledge and realize sakshatkaraha. Why should we get it? All right, why should we even think about it? Because then only if we do not aspire, we will never be, isn't it? India was ruled by so many. That time Lokmanya Tilak came with the slogan, Swaraj is my birthright and I shall have it. And so many youngsters decided, yes, this is my birthright. The very statement made them realize, ki, chalo, this is my birthright. Why should I not be free? As a nation, we must be free. We cannot be ruled over. We have such a great civil and civilizational heritage that we are carrying with us. I cannot be away from this freedom. Like that, it's time now that we must stand. We should stamp our foot, put our foot down and say, yes, Sakshatkar is my birthright and I shall have it. We have to realize it. Which way? Yathechasi, the way you want. The way you want. Through your dhyana. Through dhyana, through great karmas, through other intellectual faculties, whichever way, or through bhakti marga, whichever marga. And we have also seen that these margas are not so different that we think this route is like this route is this other. No, they are all one. But whatever is connected to your svabhava, you must try, because Krishna says it's possible to get that realization. And so many of the saints in our beautiful heritage that we have got, go to any part of the country, you will see somewhere or the other a realized saint. Somewhere or the other. He may not have studied the Shastra, she may not have studied the Shastra, but has got the realization. Use the Shastra, or maybe if it's away from you, you're not able to, still you can get the realization, but you must get the realization because it is possible. That's what Krishna is saying. There's a quote attributed to the Buddha saying we are one spark away from realization. We just don't know it. One spark away from it. Let us see. Krishna, we'll stop at the 25th shloka. Krishna says, Anye tve majanantaha shrutvanyeebhya upasate tepi chati dirantyeva mrutyum shruti parayanaha. But those who are ignorant and do not know of the ways of the paths or which path to go, when to the knower they listen and follow with devotion, whichever of these paths is tread, immortal is their destination. Krishna says very beautifully. He says, it's all right even if you do not know which path to go. Many times this is the biggest problem, isn't it? Which road should I go? All roads look good. In Marathi, there's a very nice saying, Vithala, konsa jhenda gheu hati. So many flags are there. Which flag should I take? All flags look good. This marga is also good, that marga is also good, that marga is also good. Now the problem is not which road, like is there a road? The problem is which road to take. So many look equally enticing, so many look equally good, so many look equally beautiful. But Krishna says, he says, let your Shraddha take over. He says, whichever path you may go, when you listen to the knower, when you listen to the Kshetrajna, when you follow with devotion, whichever path you tread, the destination is going to be the supreme destination. That's what Krishna is saying. That is why if you recognize Krishna as your Guru, Krishnam Vande Jagat Gurum is not, you're not just giving lip service to that phrase, you're actually living it, you're experiencing it. That you will get access to Brahma Vidya also, because they said Upanishads cannot be studied without Guru's blessing or without Guru's permission. You cannot enter into Brahma Vidya. Like you need a passport, isn't it? To go to a foreign country, something like that. Guru's Diksha will only allow you to enter into Brahma Vidya's kingdom, because Guru Bina Jnana kahan se pao is a Shishya's worry. Without a Guru, where will I get knowledge? How will I get knowledge? How? Well, reinforce the consciousness of the divine. Surrender to the divine. Whichever path you go, you will realize it, is what Krishna is saying. Recognize. Krishna is not saying only say Krishna Vande Jagat Guru. He says, identify whichever Aradhya you may have, whichever Ishta you may have. I may be saying, I don't like Krishna. I respect somebody else. It's all right. It's all right. Choose your Ishta, but hold on to your Ishta. When you hold on to your Ishta, then your journey will go ahead, is what Krishna is saying. Because you will be ready to listen. That is why Shruti is so important. Listening. I think even in dialogues between friends, it is important to listen, isn't it? Otherwise, you will never hear. You'll never hear. Sometimes, biggest things, if we can just hear, we could have avoided a lot of things. So many things can be avoided. One person, we did not even realize his best friend was in depression for a long period of time. Why? Because the person was only speaking, not listening, not hearing. Telltale signs were visible in the front, and yet the person could not, because the person is in your own self. Just I want to, I felt like this, I felt like that, I want to tell you this, I want to tell you that, blah, blah, blah goes on. But the ear is not functioning. So Krishna says, which Shruti you can receive. And we have the best example of Ekalavya, isn't it? Ekalavya's Guru did not want to teach him, but he learned from him because of the bhava, because of the bhava of the Shishya. So much that people say, no, Dronacharya did right or wrong. Ekalavya, if he was there today, he would be angry with anybody talking disrespectful about Dronacharya. Because that is Shishya. He just asked me for a thumb. What's big deal? The knowledge that I've received, what I've received is far more precious, far more valuable. I could have given my right hand only. He just asked for the thumb. Well, that is the bhava of the Shishya, and that is what we must learn. Ekalavya's story is about dedication of a Shishya, but it is also the story of how the dedication can become the source of wisdom and knowledge. And that is what Krishna is saying. Whichever path you go, he says, just by Shruti, this shloka is speaking the importance of this. By listening, also, you can get the realization. But when you listen, let it not be just the external ear that is functioning. So with this, I think today's session will complete. And one interesting development I just wanted to share. Very recently, I just got the news of some one wonderful saint and whom I was connected with. He is passed away, but his entire life he had spread his guru's words with dedication and with sincerity all his life till the last moment also. And his last post was a poem of Sri Aurobindo about deathlessness and how he is willing to enter into the next field. And we have seen that, isn't it? Eighth Adhyay, somebody who is conscious of that journey, the journey is going to be smooth. Somewhere I got inspired from him. I had a discussion with Damleji. So the reference book which I am using, that will be made freely available. This is the 10th year of it. So celebrating the 10th anniversary of the book, the PDF version will be available for free for everybody. I'll be making the link available. If you want to download, you can download it on WhatsApp also. Plus any other portal, if we can, it will be made uploaded for all. So with this, I think today's session we can conclude. I request somebody to give a summary, whatever we saw today. Yes, please. Anything. And then we'll conclude with the Shanti Mantra. We stopped at shloka number 25. So maybe day after tomorrow, we will, no, that is on Monday, I think, we will be looking at what is the gunas. The gunas are actually the universal operating system, which we have seen lots of trailers of it in the Gita. The whole picture will come only in the next adhyay. And after it is introduced, it will remain till the 18th adhyay because it's a very practical aspect. So yes, anybody, can you summarize something? Yes, please. Anything that you recollect from today. Ji? Yes.
Yeah. Today we started a discussion when we said that Sri Krishna never asked us to stop loving people. He just asked us to not couple it with expectations and attachment, which are actually the cause of suffering in a way. So we started with the discussion of kshetra, which starts with our body and then eventually expands and basically covers everything. And he is the ultimate kshetrajna. So after that, Shri Krishna started that he will actually reveal that Brahma Vidya, that golden knowledge to Arjuna, and he started saying that that eternal one, he is everywhere basically. He is beyond that existence and non-existence, beyond the limits of knowing and unknowing. Then he's basically there even in the senses. His glory is there even in the senses, but he exists. He's not limited by those senses. So he's basically inside, outside, near, far, smaller than Sukshma, and beyond the stool. So he was basically describing, he was trying to give that perspective to Arjuna, that start looking for divinity. I mean, there is a divinity everywhere. You may not understand it completely by the limitation of mind, but start acknowledging it and start working towards it. You will eventually get it. He also said that divine is basically seated basically in everyone's hearts, but there is this light, or there's a light of consciousness which does not manifest directly on the surface. We have to become conscious. We have to move towards the realization for that light to basically manifest and help us guide through. Then we had discussion about the Purusha and Prakruti. So yeah, like we discussed, I mean, both are in a way a kind of higher layer manifestations of that was single consciousness. One having the attributes of creation, and other one having the attributes of executing that execution, and basically manifesting the forms of you can say have to actually give the shape to the manifestations of what Purush wants. So we saw about the Yeah, there are also good and bad things in Prakriti. It is also the cause and domino effect is from Prakriti only, and that bhava of individual existence, that is also coming from Prakriti. So yeah, that and even even the Purush is he is actually he's also following the rules of Prakriti. Whenever he decides to descend into Prakriti, he also has to follow the rules of Prakriti. He is actually cognizant of the facts about Janma, Mrityu, Jara, Vyadhi, all of these things. He, in a way, Prakriti and Purush, they are acting in tandem. So this is kind of game of the interaction that is between them, and we are part of that. We need to realize that we are part of it. So once we move towards that realization, it will help us it will help us to come out of the vikars probably, or the issues that are there in Prakriti, and not get so much affected by it. So and Shri Krishna at the end said that you can take any path towards realization. There are many, you can take any, but listen to the knower, and eventually you will reach the destination if you follow that.
Absolutely, Chaitanya ji. So, isn't it possible then, if we can identify the divine as our guru, we can
Yes.
receive the diksha also from the guru, isn't it? We recognize in our hearts, because again, it is in our heart that decision has to be taken. We have to realize the divine is present inside. So, will the Kshetragni not teach us if we surrender with full sincerity? Of course, he will. And there is no knowledge that is denied from us. There is nothing which is barred. Everything is possible. As Sri Aurobindo says, all can be done. When the God touch is there, all can be done. All is possible. So let us see. So one aspect we see again, surrender, bhakti, both are playing an important role, even for the high knowledge of Purusha and Prakriti as well. With this, we conclude with the Shanti Mantra. Hari Om. Sarve bhavantu sukhinah, sarve santu niramayah, sarve bhadrani pashyantu, ma kaschit dukkha bhag bhavet. Hari Om Tat Sat. Krishnam Vande Jagatgurum. Jai Shri Krishna. Punarmilama. See you tomorrow.
Yeah, I had a question that,
Okay. Yes. Ji.
yeah, that it was mentioned that desires hinder our development of realization of the divine, but like, are all desires bad? Are whatever need
Okay.
we have in
I
the
think Aditi ji, you joined a little later, isn't it?
yes.
In the Gita sessions. So there was one desire is not bad. The desire to uphold dharma. The desire to uphold your duty. What
So
is the duty? What is your dharma? That you will have to identify. But you can hold on to that. One more is, if you have loka sangraha, it automatically means sometimes we get, because dharma, my dharma, her dharma, his dharma, everything sometimes clashes. Sometimes there are fights, and sometimes it becomes difficult. How many dharmas can I balance? Well, actually, if you look at the essence, dharma is not to be balanced. It happens on balance is there already. When you hold on to what is right, all dharmas get balanced. Initially, it may look like it is imbalanced. Like one example we had seen was a doctor and a technician having a fight in the hospital only. A doctor was slapped by a technician. This really happened in Pondicherry. It really happened. The doctor was slapped by the technician. Doctor got insulted. Technician was insulted. So the technician slapped. And now it was no more a fight between two people. It became a fight between two groups. Inner group, collective ankar, everybody. This is dharma. Fight for dharma. Both stood up. And what happened there? Strike. Doctors group versus technicians group inside of the hospital. What's going to happen? Anarchy, isn't it? Chaos. Patient treatment not possible at all. And then the wise people from the both sides, the seniors, what we can call Kshetragnyas, they intervened. They tried to say, let us find the common sutra. What is the common sutra? Patient care. Technician wants that, doctor wants that. That is their dharma. And the same dharma is even for the person at the reception also, isn't it? Every person, nurse, doctor, patient, technician, everybody have one dharma. Even the patient has the dharma, Rugna dharma, to become good, isn't it? That should be the dharma. Doctor says, I will follow what is, doctor is the Kshetragnya right now when I have gone into the care. Doctor says, don't eat this type of food, take this medicine. I'll have to. I'll not say, no. My body is different. I'll eat what food I want to eat. No. So everybody has to, when their dharma is one, all dharmas get balanced. And so that strike also was resolved. The person who slapped also apologized. The doctor also recognized that maybe I was a little too strong, but at no point should it ever become physical. That was absolutely not acceptable in any way. It was understood by everybody, and then resolution happened. So here, if we hold on to the dharma of Lokasangraha, or dharma, what is your dharma is to means your desire. I want to uphold my dharma. What is the dharma of a shishya? Shishya's dharma is to gain knowledge, isn't it? To grow, to progress, to improve the personality. Then you will not feel, "Arey, I need to do this also. I need to do that also."
Then what about ambition? Like people who are passionate, they
You
suppose
have to aspire. You have to aspire, but it should not be like I alone. No, see, I want to learn. I want to grow. I want to progress. But should your ambition be, I want to have n number of paper publications, so I get this many things? Or should it be the ambition, should it be about getting paper publication? Or should it be about learning and growing? That is my question. Because if your ambition is paper publication and your ambition takes over your learning, you will have 20 papers published in a short span. But the knowledge of it will not come to you. And sometimes there are people who have thousands or maybe 500 papers published. Then they have to retract their papers. A big medical institution had to retract all their papers published. One big scientist was accused of unethical practices when it was not required. For money, he has pushed in a particular drug which is known to have bad side effects. So what has happened here? Somewhere priorities have got lost, isn't it? Individual ambition and desire has taken over dharma. What is the dharma of a researcher? To do research. Or is it to get more names? Ultimately, after a while, people don't care also. You say, I have 500 citations, you will see somebody with 700 citations. And both won't respect each other only. So this aspect of running after means what is Shreyas, what is Preyas. So you have to hold on to what is Shreyas. In your ambitions also, you can have ambitions. If you don't have aspiration, where will you grow? The flower also aspires to grow towards the sun, isn't it? The plant also aspires to grow sunwards. But problem with human beings is we have got a choice. And sometimes we run after what is desirable rather than what is good or what is needed. So your desires, if you are able to channel them to do what you need, they become your helper. It's like wild horses, no? You sit on a wild horse, you're going to be in trouble. But you tame the wild horse, then you can go faster than what you could go on foot also. It is something like that, Aditiji. And there's a shloka in the Gita where Krishna says it's not wrong to uphold that desire to uphold dharma.
Okay.
Kamosmi, what Krishna also says. I am there in that also. All right.
I,
Hariom.
I just wanted to say one simple thing, Bhaiya, to
Yes,
us
ma'am.
that I learned and I taught also that
Yes, ma'am.
ambition is selfishness. When I think about myself, I am self-centered.
Ah.
And when I aspire for something, it encompasses everything. I am not
Yes.
self-centered. I just progress and I think of
Yeah.
everyone in
Yes.
my
Yes.
area.
All
That
right.
is it.
Yes. Yes,
Thank you.
Renuji. Again, so that we don't lose that line of dharma. And for that, for doing Loka Sangra, call upon the gods, call upon the Devis, call all the Devas, all the Devis to give you the strength. Ask for the strength. Look at the Chamakam, which was followed by the Rudram. Shanchame, Mayashchame, Priyanchame, Nukamashchame, Kamashchame, Somarasashchame, Bhadramchame, Shreyashchame, Yashashchame, Bhagashchame, Dravinanchame. It goes on. Even Sudinamchame, give me a good day. Sudinam is what? Good day. Give me a good day so I can perform your work. Give me strength. Sri Aurobindo's hymn to Durga is similar. He says, give me the strength, O Ma Kali. Birth after birth, we are coming to perform your bidding. This birth also will uphold that promise that we have kept. Then we'll come back to your home. We'll come back to you. But now give me the strength when I'm here. And that time, that strength was used for what? To create a creed of Karma Yogi who decided their spiritual cause of liberation of Bharat was not just a political movement. It was a spiritual movement for all of them. Because Bharat was supposed to, or now Bharat is on its way to that destiny of showing light to the world. Because our problems in the world are too many vikaras are there in the Kali Yuga which we can see. The biggest and developed countries also are having problems which are what we can say very essentially very simple. If people can connect These problems will not be there. Richest countries are having poor people, and number of poor people are increasing on the streets. Drug addicts are there. They are looting. There are so many arsons. So many of my friends, they went to US because they felt it was their American dream. But now that dream is not looking like a dream anymore. They're saying, I want to come back. But now you cannot leave your kshetra and run away like Arjuna. You're not running after safer options. You're in that kshetra, come on, bring about transformation there also. So like that, across the world, Bharat is supposed to guide. Bharat is requiring strong people to guide. And so why not? Why not? If we don't ask our parents, whom will we ask, isn't it? Ask for strength. So aspire. And it is said, low aim is a crime. So have the biggest aim. Must have it. But in that, let us not lose connect of what is Shreya and prayers, because there are many times that is lost. So people start off well. They start off well and then derail from the path. That should not happen. That is why Gita talks about holding on to the feet of the divine. It will give you humility. It will give you direction all the time. Yes, Ji. Okay, Ji. Hari Om. Namaste. Hari Om.
Thank you. Namaste.
Hari Om. Thank you, Ji. Hari Om. Hare Krishna. We'll conclude today's session.
Hari Om, sir.